So, do you have the physical papers with you? No. No one has. It will be good if you are coming to a newspaper analysis. If you have a physical paper with you, then you can not just listen the class, and also you can feel by touching the news. So you should always maintain a physical paper, especially when there is a newspaper analysis. It's hardly 8 rupees, right? It's good if you have a physical paper. So how many you all read? At least you have seen the newspaper today? No. Night you will see. No timings are there, but most preferably to preferably to read the news in the early morning because it's fresh. Okay. Okay. So morning classes starting at what time? 9:30. Then obviously you will not have a time. Won't have a time. But also it's okay. We'll simplify in the class. So this is today's newspaper. Starting with KCR is there. No? Okay. So we'll talk about only the UPSC relevance. So first news is about India's population has hit 146.39 crores. So what is the highest, means the biggest, which is the most populous country in the world right now? So where you heard the news? I think so, sir. Yeah. So this is the news. UNFPA, it released its document. So this is the region we are talking about. So why only this region have more number of population? Or why only Asia has more population, including like China, India, and including our neighbors, Bangladesh, Pakistan? More birth rate. Yeah, more birth rate. But China, they used to follow only one child policy, right? Previously. But still, because these are the regions mainly depend on their diet on rice. Usually the rice grown regions in the world have the high population because it's from the historical perspective. Like if the rice is very easy in the sense like it will follow a pattern. So it will produce every year by the same time. So if you have more number of food, means you can make more number of population. So that is the one reason. So especially these regions like Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, Bangladesh, China, Thailand, Vietnam, these are all regions, including till Japan. So these regions are populous dense regions. So like UNFPA, it released a report about the population. So here it mentioned that India is the world most populous country with the population is around how much? 146.39 crores. So this is very important regarding the UPSC. Why? Because it tells that so first thing you have to remember, the United Nations Population Fund, it released a report, State of World Population Report. In the prelims perspective, this is important. Which UN organization or the which international organization releases the State of World Population Report? That is UNFPA. So when it comes to the syllabus relevance for the UPSC, like it comes in the GS paper 1, Indian society, governance, economic development. So essay themes, you can all mention these highlights. This report helps. We'll see this report. First, we'll see what is UNFPA. What is UNFPA? So why it releases this report? UNFPA is a United Nations organization. Especially it releases the reports on population. So this is the motto. This is the exact clip which I cut from the UNFPA. They said we promote gender equality and empower women, girls and young people to take control of their bodies and their future. This is some kind of motto which I will share. You can read. So just we'll see the quick glance of the news. So now India's population is 146.39 crores, surpassing China's 141.61 crores. Now India has the tag of world most populous country. Is it boon or it's benefit or it won't benefit? How? When you say something, you should substantiate that. Yeah. And what is the loss or the boon or bane antar kada? Sapam or varam. So what is that? Per capita income? Yeah, exactly. Per capita income. Recently, India, like we used to heard the news that India is the 4th largest. Very soon it's going to be 4th largest economy. Yeah, but when it comes to the per capita income terms, India's position is way less than many of the African nations. So that is very sad part. So country is developing in the sense not every individual in the country is developing.
Youth of the nation.
Youth of the nation?
Considered as asset.
Youth of the nation, yeah. Youth of the nation is considered as an asset definitely, but when you provide him the proper skills and the employment, then only he will be an asset for a country. Otherwise, he will be a liability. And liability for government, liability for family. These are all the things. So here one important thing. So these things you can write. Like India is becoming the most populous country with 146.39 crore, surpassing China, and then it expected to reach 170 crore. That is the maximum population India can reach in next 40 years. Next 40 years. And total fertility rate is now 1.9, below the replacement level. So what is this TFR? Total fertility rate. No. Yeah, in the reproductive age, mostly the reproductive age is like between 14 to 49, like that. That is the reproductive age. In that reproductive age, an average woman can bore how many children? That is the TFR. Here, it is if a country should be in a healthy populated growth, it should always maintain the replacement level. What does it mean by the replacement level? What exactly it is replacing here? What exactly it is replacing? It is replacing, like for example, a boy and girl, a married couple is like 2 members. Like the replacement, they have to replace to continue that population another with 2. That is the replacement level. So 2.1 is a ideal replacement level for any country to continue the populated growth. For example, you may heard about the countries like Korea, Japan, and these countries. Now they have the TFR rate is 1.6, 1.5. Means at least they are not replacing, like they are only replacing maximum 2 people is only replacing by only 1 person. That is very bad for the country. If there is no population, which means what? Their culture, their economy, everything will decline. So that is one thing. So now the Indian total fertility rate is now below 1.9 instead of 2.1. The 2.1, why it is exactly the 2.1, not 2, is like the 0.1% is added so that some births, like some infants will die. So that the little extra, so they added, in calculation, they added 2.1%. 2.1 is the ideal replacement rate. So here the UNFPA, it gave one quote. UNFPA highlight that real fertility crisis as a people's inability to achieve desired family size due to the lack of reproductive agency, not overpopulation. It means, it is telling that report is telling that most of the Indians don't know. So where to stop? So what exactly the proper awareness, most of the Indians are lacking. This is what that report is telling. So that is important. Here 24% of the population is aged between 0 to 14 and 68% is in working age. So that is very important for a country, especially if your country want to develop, you should have the most of your working age is 68%. What will happen if the working age is smaller and the non-working age is bigger? Because a human can only work in the mean 30 years, 35 years, he can like mostly 40 years, like if you start from 20 and the retirement age is 60. So this 40 years only he can complement all the work for the country's growth. So before 20 you spend your time in studies, after 60 in the retirement age. So in both cases you become a liability for a country, in the economical perspective. So all like every country they calculate this figure, like 68% is working age, like 15 to 64. And also they gave some life expectancy figures. So the men age is 71, women age is 74. So this is the thing which we can compare with our neighbors. If we can compare with our neighbors, like we see Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, Nepal. Being those countries are much poorer than India, so why you think that these countries have higher fertility rate? Cultural reasons. And what are the other reasons? So these are our neighbors. Like India is here, so the India's fertility rate, total replacement rate is below the ideal replacement rate, which is 2.1. But Bangladesh, this is very good. 2.1 is very good. So, but Pakistan you see 3.5 and Afghanistan 4.7. But Nepal, Sri Lanka was also good. Like you can see China only 1. That is very, very bad for a country. Just a 1. TFR at 1 is very bad for a country. But why you think that Pakistan and these countries have more TFR? There can be many reasons, not just one single reason. One is the poverty and awareness. If you have poverty and awareness, if you lack of due to poverty and lack of awareness, then you don't need to know. You don't know, and no one will stop. Previously also, like India used to face this kind of crisis during the time of Indira Gandhi, that time before the Green Revolution. Like we have one policy called ship to mouth. So there is no food in India. Directly they used to import from the US and other countries. So on these US countries, they used to keep some restrictions. Like you have to strictly make the people to follow the minimum childbirth, only two for two. These kind of policies they used to introduce. So India overcame that phase, but these countries still they are in the phase. So yeah, you can try one MCQ question. You can. It's visible, right? So consider the following statement: the total fertility rate TFR of 2.1 is considered the replacement level fertility rate. Is it true? That is the ideal TFR rate, as we discussed, 2.1. Like the two people should replace themselves with the another two people. So India's TFR as per UNFPA 2025 is above the replacement level. So what is the present India's TFR? 1.9. So second one is false. TFR indicates the average number of children born to a woman during her reproductive years. True, right? So there are other, you can like answer in another, and next we'll go for the next topic. So these topics also we'll discuss, but we'll go to for the international relations. There is one editorial is there. Oh. So even like sometimes you have to not just the editorials and the news, you have to go through even the commercials. So what you can learn from this commercial? So this is the commercial by Reserve Bank of India. So it is asking people to download its app and invest directly in the treasury bills, sovereign gold bonds, and floating rate saving bonds. So what are maybe you finish this part? G6? No. Economy, maybe economy. We just briefly you will go through so that you can easy for your preparation. So what is G6? G6 are nothing but a government securities. Government. So what does it mean by government securities exactly? So the bonds. So usually like the companies also they will release some bonds. If they need money, they will release some bonds into the market so that they can get some money and they can improve and extend their marketing and also their functions. Similarly, government also, why government need money and why the government was in a situation to take money from the common people? What do you think? Why government need money to take from the common people instead of taxes? These are all things they are collecting, right? Why they have to do this thing? That is one thing. But well, yeah, physical, that is, one is physical deficit. There are also, again, there are multiple reasons. So when government needs some urgent money, and there is some deficit in their budget, so they will issue some bonds into the market. So the people will buy. So the government will generate the money. That is simple. That is one reason. So there are several types of government securities. Several types. One is treasury bills. So here the RBI is asking download this app. Like maybe you have this stock apps. Is anyone investing in stocks? Huh? A little bit, you can invest. Yeah, grow. Yeah, you can buy small shares like 10 rupees, 20 rupees. Huh? Yeah, Motilal Oswal, Grow. There are some apps up there, right? Angel One or Angel One. Yeah. These kind of apps. Yeah, you can download and you can try like 10 rupees, 20 rupees shares just to know how these things work, because that is also very essential for UPSC. So why I stopped here was like it is asking directly to download the app and invest in the treasury bills. Treasury bills are like treasury bills is one kind of government security. So when government need for money for short time, like 91. So when government need money for short time, in the short time, so they issue the treasury bills. So treasury bills have some value. For example, one treasury bill, the bill is valued at 100 rupees or 1000 rupees. So government will sell it for how much it will sell? Huh? Half price. Half price is it will sell for 98 or 97. With this is the price they will sell. So once it finished the 91, so you will get 100 rupees instead of 98 rupees. You buy the bill for 98, but you will get 100 rupees at 91 days. Like if it is for 182, maybe the 98 comes 97, because government is keeping your money for longer time, right? It's simple maths. It's kind of paying a little interest. But why this is important? Because it's a sovereign bond. So obviously government cannot default. High security. So even when you started to earn, so you should also diversify your investment portfolio. So 10%, for example, if you see, this is not like investment class, but I will tell a little. Okay, like if you are earning like 50,000 per month, so you keep 10,000 for your savings. So in that 10,000, if you invest 6,000 in stocks and 4,000 in government securities. In the 10,000, you invest like this: 6,000 in stocks, 4,000 in government securities. Like, for example, if something happened tomorrow, like India-Pakistan war, or if Trump said something, or if there is some dispute between if there is some dispute between the Trump and Musk, so what will happen? These stocks may downfall. The 6,000 can come down to 3,000, 4,000, like that. But the government securities, they are safe with the market. So the 4,000 will stay, the least minimum will be the 4,000 only. So your 4,000 cannot be touched by anyone. It's foolproof to any kind of external shocks. So that's why even the big companies, even the stocks, the big companies, they even invest in the government securities and the government bonds. So the treasury bills is a short-term bills that they will give in the 91 days, 182 and 364. Like the three kind of treasury bills will be there. And sovereign gold bonds, like India is a sink of world gold. What does it mean? Like our woman loves gold so much. So for that, India have to import gold from abroad. For that, India have to spend so much of its forex reserves. So that is a very bad sign for the economy. So to avoid that, like some people buy the gold for ornamentation kind of thing, and some people as a safety. So gold is foolproof for safety. So these sovereign gold bonds, government introduced, like there will be no gold, there will be no physical gold, but there will issue a bond which is equal to the same rate of the present 24 carats 99.99% purity. Based on that rate, the government will issue the gold bond, and there is some maturity time. Right side, this side. The sovereign gold bond has like 8 years of maturity. So when you invest in a sovereign gold bond, you can take that money back after 8 years or minimum 5 years. So this. So what is the benefit? Government will get the money at the same time when there is too much liquidity. One of the important significance of these bonds are like to control the inflation. To control the inflation in the market. So for this also, if there is excessive cash in the market, so to absorb that cash, so governments will use and issue the bonds. There is excessive cash in the market, so government has to take that cash. So what they will do? They will issue the bonds so that they can take the money from the people. If people ask directly, you can give money, means no one will give. Right? For that, they use these kind of mechanism. Floating rate saving bond means, so the floating rate, these bonds will float based on the interest. So market has some interest rate, floating rate. So every 6 months that interest will change. For that, these floating rate saving bonds will use. This is the simple thing which even we can learn from commercials.
Floating rates can't be predictable.
Floating rate can't be predictable. As per the market only. Like it can be 6%, it can be 7%, as government decides. RBI. So RBI will be the nodal agency for controlling all these things. RBI itself has so much money. Then again, still why they need this kind of bonds? Even recently also the RBI transferred the surplus to the government. If you read the news, you may know that. But still that beyond whatever the money RBI gives, still the government is still the hunger will never die, because we always run on the budgets or deficit. If you take any government in the world, so they are always in the deficit. Even the government of US. So we'll go for the next article. Next. Okay. Next article. The Russia-Ukraine war. Russia-Ukraine war. It is going from 3 years. Where is Russia? So why it is recently in news was, you know why? There is a drone attack called Spiderweb, Operation Spiderweb, where the Ukraine attacked. Yeah. So as far as here, until the Amur region, yeah, as far as so much near the Mongolia and even this part, I forgot the name, but there is one, yeah, not bridge, there is one air base is there. So it attacked as far as so much deep into the mainland of Russia. So it caused so much damage. And few days back, they attacked one bridge. So this is called Kerch Strait. As you observe the geography of Russia, which was in which region? Arctic or Antarctic? Arctic region. The Arctic region was full of ice. So they don't have any warm water port. So which case the warm water ports, why it is important? So that they can operate that port 365 days. For Russia, the warm water ports are in this region only. The Sevastopol port, the Black Sea. So this region is very crucial for Russia. That is one of the reason why they occupied the Crimea from the Ukraine. In 2014, they occupied this part from Ukraine. So you should know a little bit when you are I don't know how much you guys know about the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Some background information, like the historical background. Previously, it is part of very much kind of a Russian culture. Ukraine was very much part of the Russian culture. So later, it is also part of the Soviet Union. So when the Soviet Union got disintegrated, and the Ukraine also became an independent country with the nuclear warheads. So Ukraine became the independent country with the nuclear warheads. But later, so Budapest, there is one convention called Budapest. Like with that, so they have taken the Ukrainian nuclear weapons, and in the return they gave the security. The Russia, US, UK, they guaranteed the security. But now the things changed. So Ukraine actively want, like in Ukraine always they have two kinds of government. One is pro-West government, one is pro-Russian government. Like for example in Bangladesh, always we have one government. One is pro-Indian government, one is against India or the pro-China or pro-Pakistan government. Similar cases are there in the Ukraine because this part of Ukraine. Especially this part which has a land border connection near to Russia, they all have allegiance to the Russia. So they always obviously they support the Russia, right? So that's why these people now it was around until here, now it was under Russian control at present of Ukraine. This all part at right now is under Russian control as of now. So recently they attacked one bridge, that is very important bridge, that is around 19-kilometer bridge, which is essential to supply troops, logistics to the war. So they have to supply from here, right, if they want to go to the land route. So they attacked that bridge. So that is one important thing. But this is very important because it was covered by very popular professor. So they have kept some conditions. Just wait. Russian experts forward this. So now they are having a peace talks in which place? Now Russia, and even after Ukraine attacked so many times, but still they are having the peace talks. In which place? Which place? Istanbul? Turkey? What is the capital of Turkey? Ankara. But Istanbul is the main city. So, like in Mumbai for us. So, it's very important. So, there they are having the talks. Even Ukraine attacked so many times, humiliated Russia, but still they are sitting on the talks because even the Putin want to close the war as early as possible. Because the long endurance war is not good for any countries. It's nearly 10 lakh Russian soldiers died already. 10 lakh Russian soldiers. So now they are importing the soldiers from North Korea and other countries. Here they have given thing. So this part, so why I discussed, you can see just this part. In this part they have given the demands, what Ukraine is asking, what Russia is asking. So Ukraine is asking mostly about the safety. So it want to include in the NATO alliance. What if happens if they include in the NATO alliance? What will happen? Huh? Why they are asking to include them in the NATO alliance? In the NATO have one constitution. In that NATO constitution, there is one article called article number 5. According to that article number 5, if any country attack a NATO member, so the whole members of the NATO alliance will respond to that attack. So even a small tiny country, for example, if Bangladesh tomorrow or Pakistan tomorrow join in the NATO, so can we attack Pakistan? It's very hard. It's not easy like Operation Sindhu. So you have to take many calculations. So that's why they want some security. But if they directly join in NATO, Russia feels like it was threatened because the enemy is next to your wall. So it want to create some buffer state. So these buffer states are very important in case of international politics. So it want to create a buffer state here. So it want to separate the Europe and the Russia. In between there is one buffer. But if Ukraine joins directly in the European camp, so there will be no buffer. So tomorrow they can keep their army here and they can attack the Russia, and Russia don't want that one. So that is one thing. Now US is assuring to Ukraine that we will not take you into the NATO, but we will assure the security. That is one thing. Because Russia don't agree if they allow it to the NATO. And what Russia demands? So Ukrainian neutrality. So it want Ukraine to be neutral and no NATO membership. They should not give NATO membership, and demilitarization, denazification and troop withdrawals. It also seeks ceasefire guarantees. Simple things. It's just a kind of an ideological war. It started in which year? Maybe you all started in your graduation, in early phases of your graduation. 2021. It started in 2021. So it continuing till that time. Almost 4 years it was finished. So that is the story of So you have any doubt in this one? So next topic, we have a maritime disasters. Recently we are seeing so many maritime disasters, especially in the Arabian Sea coast. Maybe due to the various reasons, exactly we don't know, but there are maritime disasters. So what is the spillovers of these maritime disasters or direct effects of these maritime disasters? Loss of aquatic. More than that, yeah, it will impact the biodiversity of that region and also affect the fishing, daily life. So previously there is one more ship which got disaster. The Kerala government gave an advisory to the fishermen that you should not go to fishing because the toxic chemicals are spread around the maritime region. So that is one thing. Yeah. So these maritime disasters usually monitored by one Indian organization, that is INCOS. You should know this one in the prelims perspective. In the prelims perspective, this Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services. So it will monitor when there is some kind of a maritime spill or the maritime disasters. So it will alert the local governments and also the local people. So just write this one, Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services. So it will give the information about the maritime disasters and all. So here in their website they have given, like, we established the autonomous body under the Ministry of Earth Sciences. So in prelims this time also they will give one organization, and they will also give the what is the nodal ministry. Ministry of Earth Sciences, Ministry of Forest, under which department this organization is working. So that is important. And also, like, you see, when you are trying to contain these kind of maritime disasters, you have to invest a lot of money. Indian Navy have to work hard, Indian Coast Guard have to work hard, even the State Department have to work hard. So much money will waste, public resources will waste. So for that, so why it is important in the sense, India need a strong maritime disaster policy. So when there is some maritime disasters happen, so the government should claim the money from that people who are responsible for that disaster. That is very important. So these all comes under the disaster management and all. This is important. These exactly as a news it won't come. But the agencies, the missions, the policies, these are the things which you read in the paper. So here, so what do you understand by reading this part? Don't withhold the RTE funds over NEP row. What it is telling? No, just by reading that statement, what you are observing, like, it's visible now. So just read the news. Means it's simply the Madras High Court is asking the central government to, because the Tamil Nadu have a different state government and central government is BJP. Obviously the Tamil Nadu people in the government, they don't really like the BJP guys. And the BJP in return also, yeah. So they hold some funds of RT. RT is a right to education. In which constitution provision tells about the RT? Article? Huh? Okay. Which is the article number? 21A. 21A. Article 21A, which tells the right to education, which is the education is very much compulsory from the age 6 to 14. And also even in the private schools, 25% of the seats should give it for the underprivileged people. And for that, government will reimburse that money. That is the basic tenet of the right to education. So in here, this right to education, they are withholding the money due to the some kind of differences between the central and state government. So this Madras High Court is telling, don't do like that. So we'll study the little bit significance of that RT. So this is the thing. The Madras High Court has directed Union Ministry reimbursement from the broader, like, because the education is a concurrent subject. What does that mean, a concurrent subject? Yeah. Concurrent subjects which have the central authority is also there and the state authority is also there. That is a concurrent subject. So the Madras High Court has directed the Union Ministry to consider the delinking the RTE reimbursement from the broader Samagra Shiksha scheme amid a political dispute between the center. Because they are telling that these people are not properly spending that money. That's why we are withholding. Obviously, they will tell some reason. But that which is court tells what are the reasons you shouldn't stop that money. If they stop, what will happen? The student will not get the proper amenities what he has to get. So what is this Samagra Shiksha? What is this Samagra Shiksha scheme? Scheme for education sector, which is from class 1 to class 12th. So you read that NEP policy? New education policy. So here you see the concurrent responsibility under RTE Act as per section 7. RTE Act, both center and state government share responsibility for funding universal elementary education. Withholding RTE funds citing a non-implementation of NEP is not a legally valid. So you can just use these things as examples when you are writing some essays, ethics, answers. When you are writing a federalism, because federalism is the thing which deals with the state government and the central government. So you can write the disputes or the disagreements between the state government and central government should not affect the common public. So you can take this as an examples and you can mention. So like this, how the government has stopped. So that's why it is telling. That's why it is telling. Because the courts are especially the High Court and the Supreme Courts are the protector of our fundamental rights. Okay. Yeah, these in today's in this one, I also added some model questions like the model PYQs and the model MCQ. For example, in the Russia-Ukraine, they have this question on in 2022. In the mains 2022, they have given the question. The Russia-Ukraine war is been going for last 7 months. What are those ethical issues that are crucial to be considered while launching the war? So these kind of things, and what are the things? So you see these kind of things. There is no boys toilet at this school since 1947 until a teacher built a urinals from the scratch. As a complete news article, reading it's good, but in an ethical perspective, in the mains perspective, you can quote these examples because it is very good examples when you are writing a state exams or the central exams. Whenever you are writing the state exams, it's better to quote the examples from your state. And when it is for central, you can quote from anywhere. But there is some kind of unique example with the 2000 rupees and cutting the oil cans. So he built a toilet. Like why they have to wait 47 years for building a simple toilet? So we can question. These kind of things you can write in your ethics paper. Vikasit Bharat Vision, Science the Core. Muharram processions. All eyes. Caste data, like Karnataka government to recount the caste data. There is caste census is going on these days. What does it mean by the caste census? Huh? You can tell. What does it mean by the caste census, or what is the benefits of doing the caste census? So then
so that they can implement new schemes
new schemes, really the people are in the upper scale, or really they are in the backward or not. These kind of things they can measure using the caste census. Does they really need a reservation, or so they all can know, like they have the complete data, because the future of our world is entirely with the data. As many as numbers you have, you can do the things very efficiently. Even as a bureaucrat, should have so much data in your hand. So which, if you have so much data, what will happen? Your vision or your action will be more clear. That is one thing. So now maybe in the next census, when is going to happen the next census? 2027 March. Yeah. So when it's supposed to happen? 2021. Due to the corona or COVID reasons, yeah, it got postponed. So even you can read these kind of news. So investment scams, digital crimes, like Telangana businessman conned for 61 lakh scam, and also commercials. Don't miss the commercial also. Sometimes commercial also very useful. And India-Pakistan ties. So now India is sending its diplomatic missions of it, consisting their MPs throughout the world to spread, like giving the proper awareness and the reason why it attacked the Pakistan, why the Operation Sindoor is need of the hour. So what you think? So what we learned from the Operation Sindoor? Maybe you all saw so many shots, videos, and all, right? As a aspirant perspective, what do you think you observed from the Operation Sindoor?
Position of women in a highlighted. Position of women in a highlighted space.
Position of, okay.
The top level man.
So next, strong military base.
With the defense system and running.
Okay. And
This will be back up because of US pressure.
international pressure. Stealth technology, this all comes under the. What does it mean by stealth technology?
Kind of weapons we use. Stealth is like, 400 we use.
So okay, leave about the things. Okay. So the Operation Sindoor, the main things which we learned, especially as like position of women, Nari Shakti, these are very good things, but instead of that, like there are some deficiencies in our military architecture. There are deficiencies in our military architecture which we have to improve those military architecture. And also, so other things, definitely international pressure, as someone said. Who said international pressure? Yeah. So US asked us to stop for war. So why you think, why the US have so much say on India or the Pakistan at least? Because we also discussed the India-Ukraine war. We are also discussing the Operation Sindoor. You think those are very much separate topics? No. What happening in the global, especially the international relations, each and everything is interconnected. Each and everything is interconnected. See in that perspective. Don't think this news is different, that news is different. Everything is interconnected. For example, in Indo-Ukraine war, Russia-Ukraine war, if Russia wins or Russia loses, who will get benefit? If Russia loses, who will get benefit? US. Why? No. So its legitimacy will be more stronger. That is one thing. But the most important benefit here is China. So why China will get benefit compared to the US? Because when the Russia becomes weak, definitely it can't go to US. The whole and soul is China. And what is the Russia's economy? So see everything in that economical perspective. Whenever the international relations came into your picture, first check that economical status of its. Same like when we are having friends, or we all check what is his economic status in like this, right? We should not implement there, but definitely you should implement when you are studying the international relations, because it will tell us many things. So why India is diversifying its defense imports from the Russia? If Russia becomes so weak and so much dependent on China, if there is a war with India and China, if China says don't send weapons to India, so Russia should stop. It don't have any other option. So that's why India is diversifying its defense imports from Russia. Russia has only 1.6 trillion economy. 1.6, around 1, exactly I don't know, but it was close to that figure. And even the Korea have the same economy. It was much bigger. It's around more than 2 trillion. A small South Korea have 2 trillion economy. What is the economy size of China? Huh? $20 trillion. So look at the huge gap. So at the end, everything comes down to the financial numbers. It's not the who has more power. So that is one thing. And as Pakistan wants desperately, they want money from the IMF. So they said they agreed for the US said don't continue. So they stopped. And India has so much economical relations with USA. We can say instead of diplomatic, most of its exports, trade partner. US is one of its biggest trade partner. So already it started to implement some tariffs. So definitely that is the hegemony or the strategic power which a country which is rich in the technological or financial age has. So definitely America has this situation because it laid its groundwork way before. So when the world wars happened, when these all countries fought together, so who got benefited is US. From there it started, that is the world wars is their foundation of building the world hegemony. So even like that, now China is seeing the same thing. World conflicts as that. It is not involving in those conflicts. But if the two partners are becoming weak, if Europe and the Russia became weak, so definitely they will only go to China. Because the China has the construction edge. So if someone want to rebuild that Ukraine was so much damaged as you see in the news. If they want to rebuild that Ukraine faster, no country except China can do that. Not even India or not even anyone. So the China has so much power. In the Operation Sindoor case, we understood that there are so many vulnerabilities in our military architecture, in our weapon systems. So as we know that our chief of defense staff, he agreed that we lost some jets. He openly said, like he didn't say reveal the number, but we lost some jets, he agreed. So exactly what happened. So and also the nature of the war. Previously the war is very much different, but now the war is with drones and missiles. So the nature of war is very much changed. We see these drone wars, especially in the Russia, Ukraine, and also another war. Which war? No. In 2019, there is one war. That is the first war which shaped the complete nature of warfare. No. I will show. Just, yeah, here on. These are very small countries. these are very small countries. The war happened. They have similar conflicts. Similarly, we have like how we have a Kashmir issue. They also have some issue. Like Nagorno-Karabakh, there is one place. So these are also previous Soviet countries. So when got divided, like how the UK did, they didn't divide the Kashmir properly. So they also didn't divide some region properly. So they fought many wars. In 2019, so Armenia is a Christian country, Orthodox Christian, and Azerbaijan is an Islamic country. So some region here, this region, which is in the Azerbaijan, is dominated by the Armenian Christians. So now it occupied, even after the division, because Armenia has a superior military strength previously, so it occupied this region in the Azerbaijan region. But in 2019, what happened? The Azerbaijan, which is resource-rich region, it has so much gas and petroleum. So it used to sell and it acquired so much money and it bought so many drones from Israel, Turkey, and they went for war. But Armenia, which still depends on its traditional warfare, it lost the war completely. So which is becoming a shock. So this changed the complete warfare of whole world. So from here, the importance of drones clearly we can see in the battlefield. And that's why now Armenia is buying so many weapons from India. Because it said it is completely not reliant on, these two countries are dependent on Russia. So when Armenia asked to supply weapons, Russia didn't supply the weapons. So now how we are diversifying our defense procurements from Russia and all. So Armenia also started they want a cheaper and efficient partner. So they see that potential in India. So they are buying BrahMos, they are buying the Akash, these kind of things. So these war between these two, they changed the entire warfare scenario of the present world. The Armenia and Azerbaijan, you can just go and read in the Wikipedia. You can get the complete, so what is the root cause, how it happened, why these wars. These are all things. Because these days international relations have so much scope in the UPSC, especially if you go for interview. You will have the most questions from the international relations. And to understand everything, for example, when the Ukraine war happened, starting phase, like our oil prices suddenly shoot up. Why? Because we import most of our sunflower oil from Ukraine. And Ukraine is called the wheat basket of the world. So the food prices around the world, it got shoot up. Oil prices also shoots up. India is a very power hungry nation. It depends on imports for its power needs. Gas, oil, it has to import. So yeah, that is one thing. Yeah.
So you're talking about vegetable oil?
Yeah, vegetable, sunflower. Because India needs so much oil, because without oil we can't eat. Right. For that is the one thing. And you have any other doubts? You can see, like whenever you are coming to any class, carry your atlas with you. Always see the things in a visual and bring your newspaper. It's okay, right? You don't need to read. Bring it to class, because you can directly, the hard copy which you see in the physical way, you will remember much compared to the seeing on the board. Those things. And use the Google Earth for everything. History, polity, whenever you are reading. So it is a very effective tool. Because whenever I teach, I always open the Google Earth, irrespective of the topic, subject, everything. Because you can see exactly what's happening in the world. So that is the story. these kind of tools, even ISRO also have some tools. What are those tools? Defense tools are different. So yeah, exactly. In Operation Sindoor, India also understood that our defense satellites are not enough. So they want to improve the number of satellites which work for the military. That is one of the things they learned. Yeah. Bhuvan, there is one portal called Bhuvan portal. You can search here, you will get. But it's not as effective as Google Earth. So Google Earth is more friendly. So it is also same. So this is ISRO's portal. So yeah, this is one thing. And try to solve some questions, mains, prelims, these kind of questions you can solve every day, because at the end, instead of, if you listen, won't just listen, it won't add any value. If you try to solve the more number of MCQs, it adds some value to your preparation. So that is one thing. Yeah. So that is today's newspaper, because today's newspaper only 4-5 articles are very much relevant. Exactly. As we see the complete newspaper.